Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to your practice today. So I'm going to invite you to grab some blocks, books if you don't have blocks, a blanket, and a nice big pillow, couple of pillows, or if you have a yoga bolster, grab your bolster. So I'll give you a moment to grab what you need, and I'll see you back on the mat in a moment. So my lovelies, the practice we're going to do today, the theme's kind of running through the heart meridian. The heart meridian runs through the inner arm. And we'll do some movement, so a little bit of a hatha style practice with some yin. So sitting up nice and tall, sit on your blanket if you need to sit on something. Okay, so we want to feel our sit bones. And just allow the breath to come and go. And rest your hands on your knees. Palms up or palms down, whatever feels right to you. If it feels good to have your hands in a different position, then please feel welcome to whatever it is you need. So listening to your body and accepting the messages that it's bringing you. Right? So, in an ancient Chinese text, it was written about 4,700 years ago. The heart was considered sovereign over all of the other organs. Represents the consciousness of your being. It's responsible for your intelligence, right? Your wisdom, your spiritual transformation. So intelligence is, there's that book kind of mental intelligence, but there's also that emotional intelligence. So I'm going to work through the chest. So we have the heart meridian, but in yoga traditions we also have that energy vortex, that plexus of nerves at the chest, so the heart center, so that's your heart chakra, energy there. So today we're going to do a lot of opening of the chest, front and back. Right? When we think of opening, we always think of going this way, but we also want to be able to open through the shoulder blades. And then a lot of arms and shoulders today, right? Really playing around with that energy. And the heart meridian comes through the arms. We also have the small intestine, large intestine meridian, and the lung meridian. So everything's getting a little bit of a squeeze and a wringing out. But we're just focusing a kind of practice around the energy of the heart center. So if you have an intention that you want to bring to your practice, a heart-centered intention that you want to bring in, please feel welcome to do that now. I'm inviting you to set an intention, a shared intention for practice. That intention is actually one of listening. So we hear the chitter-chatter in our mind is fairly constant, and that's fine. That can be welcomed in. Okay? We don't want to suppress anything, just welcome the chatter in as you want to, but I'm going to invite you to listen deeply to the whispering that comes from the heart. Okay. So we're going to start with Nyasam Mudra. Okay, so that's the one where we slide the thumb as we inhale from the base of the index finger to the tip, and the exhale we slide the thumb down from the tip of the finger to the base. We start at index finger, then the middle, then the ring finger, and then the little finger. So you're going to have that sliding action, and if you have anything going on in your neck, okay, if your arms are tight, your hands are tight, it might feel challenging, so please do what you can with your breath. Okay, we're going to start with our fingers out to the sides. Okay, so we're going to add not just what we're doing with the fingers, we're going to add in the whole body, or at least the neck and the arms. So draw your chin down. Okay, so shoulders stay stacked over the hips. You can feel your sit bones. Draw your chin down to the base of your throat. Thumb's going to start at the base of the index finger. We're going to inhale. As you inhale, start to slide the finger, lift the arms, lift the crown of the head, lift the chin. And as you finish your inhale, just take a micro pause. And then as you're ready, exhale. Just floating everything down. Chin down, arms down, thumb to the base of the index finger. Pause before you inhale. Shift your finger to the base of the middle finger. And as you inhale, everything comes up. Chin comes up, arms come up. Finger comes, or thumb comes to the tip of the finger. When you're ready, exhaling down. Just pausing between breath. And when you're ready, inhaling the ring finger. Exhaling. And then finding that little pinky finger. Inhaling. And exhaling. So that was 4 breaths. We're going to do 4 more. So come back to the base of the index finger as you inhale, floating the arms up, the chin up, arms down, chin down, finger slide, or thumb slides down the finger. Pause between your inhale and your exhale. Ring finger. Maybe you can hear the sound of your breath as you inhale, as you exhale. Come into doing the little pinky finger. And then when you finish, just rest your hands on your knees. Let's rest the hands palms down. So just feel the warmth of your knees and the warmth of your hands. Just feel the real rebound, feel the stillness. And then if you still want to, right, if you still need to kind of shake it off or just do something, you can open your hands, fasten fists and stretch. Okay, or you can shake out your hands. We want to always allow that space for the rebound, for the sensation, rather than finishing something and then quickly doing something else. Right? We always want to just meet the sensation. We want to accept the sensation and welcome it before we kind of move to the next thing or kind of try and get rid of a sensation we might not quite like. Okay? So we're going to repeat that. This time, we're going to bring the fingers through the midline. So as you inhale, as you come up, if you have anything going on in your shoulders, you might feel a little tight through here. Okay, so as you inhale, as you move slowly, meet that resistance, draw the shoulder blades down and maybe put a little bend in the elbows. Okay, keep the shoulders over the hips, because sometimes we get to that resistant point and then we just kind of back arch, right? Because we're concentrating on trying to get the arms up. Okay, but really what we're doing is we're just stretching through the arms, through the shoulders, through the ribs. And if we just tip back, we actually miss. So less is more always, right? When we are practicing in awareness. So starting at the base of the index finger, chin down, arms down. And then when you're ready to inhale, sliding your thumb up your index finger, lifting the chin, lifting the arms. And when you're ready to exhale, floating the arms down, the chin down, the thumb's going to arrive at the base of the index finger. Pause before you inhale if you can. And we'll move to the next finger, the middle finger. Beautiful. And exhaling down as you're ready. And the ring finger. And the pinky finger. We'll do one more round. Okay, if you need to pause and rest because you have discomfort, okay, if you're new to this and it just feels very uncomfortable in your hands, you don't have to force anything, right? In fact, it's better just to allow yourself to maybe skip the second round, because if it feels really uncomfortable, you need to do it, okay? But it's better to do a little bit less and do it again at a later date, rather than do a lot this time and just think that, oh, I really don't like that. Not doing that ever again, right? So again, there's that less is sometimes more, rather than forcing. Again, come to stillness when you're finished. Just allow the sensations in your hands. Maybe it just felt a little awkward. Maybe it felt fine. I know when I first started doing this practice, did this practice for my neck, and I found it really challenging. Just close your eyes, feel the sensations, and then as you've taken a couple of breaths with the sensations, if you feel you want to do something, you can shake out your hands or open and close them fast. Do that a couple of times, and then just rest your hands on your knees and take a breath again, coming back to stillness. All right, my lovelies. So as you're ready, I'm going to roll forward onto hands and knees. Okay, so you can roll forward. If rolling forward is not for you, then please feel welcome just to bring yourself around onto hands and knees as you need to. So hands and knees pose, draw the belly towards the spine. Press down through the thumb side of the palm of the hand, then roll the weight up into your knuckles, into your fingers. Okay, we're going to curl the toes under. Nice big inhale, feel a sense of buoyancy, and then as you exhale, draw the belly in towards the spine. Let's find our down facing dog. So find your dog, press through the heels, press through the fingertips, through the knuckles. So, and I say press through the heels, don't worry about having your heels on the floor. Okay, let's draw our sit bones back. So the chest is drawing towards the legs. We're drawing the sit bones back. There's a nice long line from the wrist to the shoulder, from the shoulder to the hip. So it's one long line. And the knees might be a little bit bent or they might be straight. Okay, but let go of having straight legs to get the stretch through the upper body. And then from here, we're going to soften the elbows and the knees just a tiny bit. You're going to take one little step forward. So we're going to close the gap between our toes and our hands. And as you're ready, you're going to take your left hand onto your right leg to the outside. Okay, so you might be able to catch the shin or the ankle. If you can catch the outside of the ankle, you can do that. Maybe you can even cup your hand around your heel. And then we want to draw the left shoulder down. See if you can look under your right tricep. So notice where the weight is in your right hand. Let's take the weight into the thumb side and then up into the fingertips and the knuckles. So that whole arm is super active. One more breath here. Good. And then as you're ready, we'll take our left hand and we'll put it on the floor. So have a little shift and a move, and then reset. And as you're ready, we're going to take the right hand. We'll take the right hand either to the shin or the ankle. Maybe you can cup your hand around the heel. Okay, we want to draw the right shoulder down, and we want to see if we can look through underneath the left tricep. So there's a little bit of a twist that's happening here. So I'm drawing the right hip back, the right shoulder down, and I'm looking under the left tricep. So a little bit of a twist here. And as you're ready, plant your hands on the floor, soften your knees on an inhale, and then you're ready, step, forward fold. So feet come up to the hands, soften the knees, let the head dangle.
So the back is nicely rounded out here. So allow the head to dangle. Take a breath. And then next time you inhale, we're going to bring the hands right up to the top of the thighs, and we're going to create a straight back. So press your hands into the thighs, trying to get your arms as straight as you can manage, legs as straight as you can manage. Draw the chest forward. Draw the shoulder blades together just a little bit. Stretch out through the sit bones in the crown of the head. Okay, so here we are in a half forward fold. Urdhva Uttanasana. You can see how straight my back is. So we want the back that straight. So sometimes what happens is we do this. Okay, so you'll feel a stretch at the middle of the back. You feel a stretch under the shoulder blades. We want to take the stretch from the back of the body and bring it to the front of the body. Good. So you're feeling a stretch between the two front points of the shoulders. Next time you're ready to exhale, soften the knees, float down. Let your head be heavy. Soften, be here for a breath. And then when you're ready to inhale, we're going to come into that halfway lift again. So either hands where they were. This time, you might want to try putting your hands just above your knees. So not on the knees, because we're going to press. Okay, so just above the knees. So press the hands into the legs. This time, see if you can get the legs as straight as you can manage. And we're almost trying to straighten the arms. We're drawing the shoulders back, feeling that squeeze between the shoulder blades, drawing the chest forward. So again, the stretch is coming across here rather than across the mid-back. Okay. Next, exhale, soften, forward fold. So we'll repeat that. So just notice, this is where you get to be really honest in your own body, because your mind's going to ask you to keep doing more. But if you do more, notice if your back is rounding out. Okay, if your back's rounding out, go to where your back was able to be straight. So option, inhale, hands will either go to one of those 2 points that we've already done, or maybe you can bring your hands to your shins. So again, if you're feeling tightness in the hamstrings, getting your hands here, sometimes what'll happen is we start to round the back, okay? So we actually want to, just as we've been doing, press the hands into the legs, get the legs as straight as you can. Pull the sit bones back and up. Stretch out through the crown of the head. Draw the shoulder blades together. Draw the shoulders back a fraction. Beautiful, okay? So only you know. Okay, but if you're rounding out your back, if you're feeling that stretch across the mid-back, okay, by the shoulder blades, you've kind of lost some of the stretch we're looking for, because we're looking for the stretch through the front of the shoulders. Okay, exhale, soften, forward fold. And then next time you inhale, again, you choose where you're going to put your hands. Maybe you can have your hands on your ankles. Okay, same thing. We want that nice straight back, straight legs. So have your hands where you can create that straight back. Beautiful. And exhale, soften. Last one. Let your body dangle. Let the knees bend a little. Okay, for this one we want to feel a nice deep but soft stretch. Okay, and then when you're ready, on your next inhale, put your hands where you can get your back and your legs to be straighter. Okay, you might this time be able to have your hands on the floor. Okay, same thing. We're still drawing the chest forward. We're squeezing the shoulder blades together. One more breath here. Okay, so your version of this, your hands can be somewhere on your legs where you can stretch the back of the legs and straighten the spine. And exhale, soften. On your inhale, bend the knees a little bit, soften through the body. And as you exhale, we're going to come up, waving up through the spine from the tailbone. Belly draws in, all the way up to standing. Inhale, you might want to float the arms up. And exhale. Beautiful. All right, my lovelies. So from here, we're going to interlace the fingers, okay? And bend the elbows. So don't worry about straight arms here. Interlace the fingers behind you and bend the elbows. And I'm going to invite you to, as you exhale, draw the belly towards the spine, draw the elbows towards one another. Inhale, feel the chest expand. Keep drawing the elbows together. And then exhale. See if you can draw the elbows together a little bit more. Inhaling again, feel that sense of expansion. As you exhale, keep drawing the elbows together. Maybe you can get the arms a tiny bit straighter. Okay, don't worry if you can't. And don't worry about getting the arms straight, especially if that causes your shoulders to roll forward, right? So if you feel your chest starting to get all caved in, bend the elbows to the point. Again, you want to feel the stretch from the center of your chest all the way out to the shoulders, right? So we want to feel a stretch right across here. So rather than trying to get the arms straight, causing the shoulders to round forward, okay? Let the arms be as bent as they need to. The stretch can be focused here and the squeeze can be right between the shoulder blades. Now some of you will be able to bring your knuckles towards the floor and keep drawing your shoulders back and open, okay? But this is just part of the journey. Being up here, a couple more breaths, is way better for your body than being here, okay? So your version, keeping that chest beautifully open. One more big breath in. And then exhale. As you're ready, release, bend the elbows, release the fingers. And we'll float the arms down. So when that heart line is strong, that heart meridian is strong, we're able to really be tuned in to our inner essence, right? Really be able to have our sovereignty, just sovereignty over ourselves, over our choices. All right, my lovelies. So if you're kind of in your middle of your mat, I'm going to invite you to come to the top of the mat. You may or may not want to have your blocks handy, right, to the top of the mat. So that's a choice that you can make. And I'm going to invite you to have your feet hip width. So remember, inside hips, right? So hip width, so we can bend the knees and our knees can track our hips and the toe next to the big toe. All right. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, sit down. Find your chair, Utkatasana. Okay, so imagine you're drawing your knees together. Imagine you're pulling your knees open. So there's that isometric action happening in the body. Press down through the feet. Be light with the toes. Point the tailbone towards the floor rather than the wall. Reach up through the fingers. Draw the shoulder blades down. Okay, on your next inhale, bring the weight into your right leg. And as you exhale, we're going to pick the left leg up and we're going to step back. We're going to find a lunge, okay? So you can see my heel is up, okay? So we're going to scissor the hips, so draw the left hip forward, the right hip back. We're still pressing through the feet, we're still light with the toes. Now without shifting your left hip, or drawing your left hip back, see if you can press through the heel, start to straighten the leg. Tailbone wants to point downwards rather than back. And we'll find that connection between the rib, bottom rib, and the pubic bone. Nice big inhale, feel a sense of buoyancy. As you exhale, draw the belly button towards the spine.
See if you can slide the belly button up an imaginary wall. So we still want to keep the connection between the bottom rib and the pubic bone. Maybe you can look up at the ceiling. One more big breath here. And then when you're ready, on your next exhale, we're going to pivot on the back foot. Warrior two. So as you're hanging out here, we want the arch of the foot, the left foot, and the heel lining up. We want to feel the four corners of both feet. We want to be able to sit down into the right knee without it traveling past our right heel. So we don't want to be here. If you're here, we're going to just heel toe that left foot back a fraction. Okay? Tailbone is still pointing down, not back. Draw the arms out to the sides, draw the shoulder blades together. Big inhale here. So this is where you might want to have your block handy. As you exhale, we're going to straighten the right leg and bring the right fingers towards the floor. Left fingers are going to be lifting you up. Right fingers are going to be drawing you down. So the right hand is to the inside of the right foot. So you may want to use your block. Okay, but we're not leaning, we're not collapsing. We're pressing through the feet and we're lifting up through the left fingers. One more big breath here. And then when you're ready, on your next exhale, we're going to pivot again on that back foot. We're going to exhale all the way down into a low lunge. Bring the left knee down. Let the left hand rest on the mat. We're going to take our right hand to our right hip, a little twist here. So again, let's find the opening in the shoulder. So don't worry about having the arm up. Let's take the right hand to the right hip. We're going to focus on drawing the elbow back and the shoulder back. And if you want to get really fancy, you can slide your right hand towards your left butt cheek. One more breath. Good. And exhale. Bring the hand back to the floor. Lift the knee up. We're going to inhale, get nice and soft. So find that bounce. And as you exhale, as you draw the belly towards the spine, we'll find a down facing dog. Inhale, get nice and loose and soft here. And as you exhale, step, step. Feet to hands, forward fold. Let the body dangle. Inhale, soften the knees. Exhale, wind up from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Inhale, float the arms up. Check out your feet at hip width. As you exhale, find your chair. Okay, so we want to press down through the sit bones. So much so that if you come down any further, you might tip back. But at the same time, we're reaching forward with our fingers. We're lifting up through the crown of the head. The toes are light, but the feet are pressing down. Beautiful. Inhale, bring the weight into the left foot. And then as you exhale, we want to find that step back into our lunge. Okay, so again, I'm starting out with my heel up. There's a little bit of a bend in my knee, okay, so that I have some stability here. There's some fluidity, right? I have strength and flexibility working with me. And then from there, I have that ease of movement and I'm able to hold steadily, right? So we're going to scissor the right hip forward, the left hip back. Maybe think about pressing a little bit more through that right heel to straighten the leg. I'm going to connect the bottom rib with the pubic bone. Inhale, get nice and buoyant. And keeping that connection, exhale, draw the belly button towards the spine to support the back. Maybe there's a little back bend there. So we still want to keep that connection. So the stretch is coming all the way through the front of the body on the right side. Beautiful. Next time you're ready to exhale, we're going to pivot on the back foot.
we'll find our warrior two. Okay, so go through your little checklist, all four corners of the foot on the floor. Knee is over the heel, not past. Knee is lining up with the toe next to the big toe rather than collapsing in. So you have that little checklist. Stretch through your fingers, draw the shoulder blades together. And next time you exhale, again, have your block handy if you need it. As you exhale, we're going to straighten out the left leg. And our left fingers can come towards the floor. So remembering, if you need your block, you have your block. Don't want to collapse into it and lean. We're still using the right hand to find that sense of lift. Beautiful. All right, my lovelies. On your next exhale, soften a little bit, and we're going to pivot around into our low lunge. Let the right knee come down. Draw the right hip forward, left hip back. Right hand can land on the floor or the block. And we'll take our left hand onto our left hip. And again, we'll play around with that little bit of opening. So we want to draw the left shoulder back to find some opening. Maybe you can take your left hand towards your right butt cheek. One more breath here. Beautiful. Exhale, come back into your lunge. I'm going to inhale, lift the back knee, find that softness, and then exhale, down facing dog. Inhale, get nice and loose and soft, and then exhale, step, step, forward fold. Good. All right, we're going to heel toe our feet open a little bit, and as you exhale, we'll come down into squat pose. Okay, so if this is not a happy place for you, remember heels can be lifted. Ideally, the knees and the toes are in the same direction. Okay, if you're not quite down here or here, you're a little bit more up here, that's fine too. We'll take the forearms, we'll rest those on the thighs. This is perfect squat right here. Okay, but just use your elbows so you can find that little bit of bounce, that sensation of there's room for suppleness. Okay, we'll take one more breath here. If you want to rock from side to side, you can. And then as you're ready, we're going to come down into a forearm plank. Okay, option one, if you've got the room, bring your forearms onto the mat and you can bounce back. Option two, hands on the floor, wherever you're at, knees on the floor, elbows down, forearm plank. So we'll take just a couple of breaths here. Press through the heels, feel your breath inflate your body. And then when you're ready, next time you exhale, let's float the knees down, float the hips down. And as you inhale, draw the chest forward, and we're in Sphinx. So we're going to hang out in Sphinx. We're going to have a little bit of a yin practice here. So we're going to hang out in Sphinx. So you may want your block. You rest your head upon your forehead, your head upon your forehead, your forehead upon your block. Okay, you can have it a little bit lower. If you're finding that this is quite intense in your back, let your elbows be a little bit wider. And you can come all the way down, if you need to having just your forehead resting on the back of your hands. So there's always a version for everyone. There's always something for everyone. And the other option is if you're really finding that this isn't the favorite thing for your low back, you can always use your blanket. Okay, if you're using your blanket, the belly button goes right at the center, not at the top or at the bottom. Okay, so you might find that this gives you a little bit more support for a longer hold. Okay, so lots of options. Find the one that suits you. Little fidget, couple of breaths. We want a yin pose to be a little bit like Goldilocks. and her adventures in the House of the Three Bears. We want the pose to be just right. So we don't want it to be too challenging. We don't want it to be too easy. We want to find just that sweet spot of intensity. So that sweet spot is finding the edge and just gently nudging it. We don't want to go too far over our edge, but at the same time, well, this isn't restorative. We want it to be a little bit intense. So we want that Goldilocks just right. As you hang out here, really just allow your body to start to sink between your shoulders. So you might find if you've got the block on its highest level, it might actually feel quite nice to let it lower down a little bit. Okay, so again, you can play around with what's really working for you to maybe make the shape just a little bit more. Now you've been here for a few breaths for a little bit of time. Okay. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. All right, Mellows, as you're ready, curl the toes under. Bring your palms under your shoulders. We're going to exhale, half plank, and then push back. Child pose, just for a breath, just for a transition. Hang out here. Maybe bring your arms down by your sides. So maybe knees together, arms down by your sides, because with extended child pose, we're in a shape that we're actually just about to go into. So if you can, shoulders or arms down by your sides, or just have your head resting on the back of your hands rather than going into an extended child pose. So arms are either down next to your legs, or you're resting your forehead on the back of your hands. We'll just take one more breath here. Unless you're ready, palms can be under your shoulders. Exhale, round up. And then we're going to make our way into melting heart pose. So for melting heart pose, you have a bunch of options of how you're going to set up. But because we're going to use melting heart pose as a little bit of a yin pose, we're going to be there for time, especially if you have anything going on in your shoulders. You want props to take the weight of your body so you can focus on the stretch. So if you have cushions, put the cushions between your legs, let your chest rest at the top of the cushion, otherwise there's no room for your nose. Forehead on the ground, stretching arms out so we're kind of in a down facing dog shape. Very important that your bum stays over your heels. If your bum comes forward, okay, it's going to put a lot of pressure in your low back. So check out that your bum is right over, so the thigh bone is perpendicular to the floor. Okay. If you don't have a cushion, just using your blocks, okay, Might use 2 blocks, right? You might only use 1. If you're using 2, you're going to want your blanket to catch your head. So find your version. Okay, but the bum stays over the knees. So the thigh bone is perpendicular, right angle to the floor. If you have nothing going on in your shoulders, option is to just let your body sink down onto the floor. And if you have a lot of space, and put your arms onto blocks, head comes down onto the floor. Interlace your fingers and bring your palms up behind you. Okay, so there's all kinds of options. Find the one that fits you. Remember, this is going to be a yin hold. We're going to be here for at least a couple more minutes. So if you're in a pose and you keep fidgeting and coming out and going back in, that's your body telling you it is not ready to be in that shape yet. So go into a slightly lesser version that you can hold and find that stillness, right? So that way what we're doing is we're inviting the body into the shape. If we're fidgeting because it's too much, we're forcing. And there's no compassion in forcing. So when our heart meridian is out of balance, we have a tendency of shortness of breath. We can have excessive sweating, right? The element of the heart is fire. We can suffer from insomnia, emotional stress. There's a kind of a sense of sadness that we can't quite shake off, or we feel bitter and we can't quite shake it off. The loss feels very deep after a life change. We're feeling tired. Also, there's that sense of depression when the heart center or the heart meridian is out of balance. We'll take just a couple more breaths here. All right, my lovelies. So if you have your elbows resting on blocks, slowly straighten your arms. Draw the elbows towards your body and come up onto hands and knees. If you are with your arms on the floor, if you've got props underneath you, bend the elbows, bring the hands under your body. We'll come up onto hands and knees. And let's just do a couple of cat-cows. All right, my lovelies. We'll come down onto our bum, come onto seated pose, cross your legs. And I'm going to invite you into one shorter pose, a couple of options, and then we'll do one more yin star hold, which if you want to, you can stay in actually for the full Shavasana. So we're going to come into
cow face legs. So bend the knees. If you want to sit on a blanket, sit on a blanket. If you're going to sit on something, it's a really good idea to have it on an angle. So for those of you who know cow face or shoelace pose, blanket might be enough, otherwise sit on your blocks or sit on your cushion. So lift the hips up. It's going to give you some more space in your hips. So we're going to take the left foot under the right leg. So the left heel sits at the right hip. So left heel, right hip, left knee points forward. So the left knee is at your midline. Okay. If it isn't, if it's kind of at 11 o'clock, either sit on something a little bit higher or maybe let go of doing something with this leg and let the leg just be extended, right? So you have that option as well. And then we're going to take the right leg over. I like to come forward a little bit and then land and find my sit bones, okay? But again, the knees are as stacked as you can manage, and the right heel is at the left hip, okay? Stretch your arms out in front, and you're either going to give yourself a hug or you're going to do eagle arms. So we're going to take the right arm over the left, and you're actually going to cross at the elbows, okay? So option A is you hug. The stretch is coming from the elbows crossing. So if your arms are kind of here, do your best and just hug. The stretch comes from the elbows crossing, right? The bells and whistles we're going to add on are just bells and whistles to squeeze out the arms. But ultimately what we want to do is stretch behind the shoulder blades, okay? So hug. If you can do a little bit more, if there's a lot of ease in crossing your elbows, start to pivot the arms, keeping the elbows crossed. Maybe you can touch the fingers to the top of the hand, okay? And if you're really open here, you might be able to actually wrap the hands and touch the palms together. But again, these are just bells and whistles. If to do this, you need to be kind of with your elbows open. I'm wearing black, so it's hard to see, I apologize. But if your elbows are quite open, then go back to hugging. We'll take just a couple of breaths here. Maybe lift the elbows up, right? So even if you're doing the hug, you can lift the elbows up. You just feel a slightly squeeze sensation under a different part of your shoulder blades, okay? And then option is to really draw. So keep the shoulders over the hips. We're not forward folding, but we're just going to really pull the elbows down. Again, if you're hugging, you can still create that action of pulling down. Good. So we're going to unravel the arms. Oh, that feels good. And unravel the legs gently. Okay, so we're going to lift one leg and then the other. Nice. And then we'll do the other side. So this time, right foot is going to come under the left. And again, let's take some time with our setup because this is our foundation. So my right knee is at my midline. Okay, and my right foot is at my left hip. So if your leg is at kind of 2 o'clock, so if your knee is kind of pointing to 2 o'clock, let go of the bottom leg and just extend it out. Okay, so that you can focus on that lovely stretch that's going to happen in the top leg. Okay, once you're set up, you can take the left leg over. Okay, again, just set yourself up so the left heel is at the right hip. The knees are stacked as best you can have them stacked. Okay, you're sitting on both sit bones, arms are out in front. We'll take the left arm and cross at the elbow. So this side might be different, so don't worry about what you did the other side. You might do a little hug here, which is perfect. If you can keep the elbows crossed, you might find you can touch the backs of the hands together, or you might be able to touch the palms together. So choose the one that's working for you that you can keep the elbows crossing. Good. And then as you're ready, let's lift the elbows. So whether you're hugging or whether you are tangled up in eagle arms, okay, whatever version, lift your elbows. So we're not in a back bend here. The spine is neutral. We're just lifting the arms. We're wringing the arms out. And then exhale, draw the elbows down. And again, really draw the elbows down without rolling into a forward fold. We're just pulling the arms down. There's a beautiful, deep, squeezing stretch that's happening in the arms. The spine is neutral. And as you're ready, unravel the arms. We gently untangle the legs. Stretch them out. Okay. So we can finish with Supta Baddha Konasana because it's just a lovely way for everything to get nice and draped. So use your cushions. Use your blanket to rest your head on. Okay, so we want that little bit of tuck for the chin. It actually gives you a quicker relaxation response when there's that little squeezing happening. And I think I know with iRest there was some research done, but I believe it's to do with being able to stimulate the vagus nerve. So set yourself up, roll back. If coming into a little bit of a back arch isn't for you, you can actually do this without a prop, okay, and just a blanket for your head. And you'll just come and lay with your spine neutrally on the floor. So come on down into your version. Set the blanket so it's under your head. Arms can be out by your sides. Just let the breath be slow and steady. Closing your eyes, finding your breath. So when the heart line, when the heart center is balanced, we're accepting. Okay, there's that deep sense of self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-love. We have a deeper awareness. We have the ability to be intimate. So we're able to be intimate with ourselves. And from that capacity to be intimate with ourselves, so accepting ourselves completely, holistically, the good bits, right, and the bits we don't care for so much. And when we're able to have that sense of intimacy with ourselves, it becomes much easier to be intimate in relationship with others. So there's that sense of kind of an interdependency, that sense of mutual love rather than the codependency that can happen because we're looking outside of ourselves for something to fill what we have, a sense that is missing in us. When a heart center is balanced, there's a sense of sovereignty. There's a harmony, a peace, equilibrium. So to bring the heart center, the heart meridian to balance, a couple of things we can do. Meditating is a great way for us to tune in to ourselves, to get to know, to have a relationship, to be intimate with ourselves. Some self-reflection. Again, just that accepting yourself holistically. journaling emotions, creating a nourishing environment, simple diet. So I'm going to invite you, if you would like, to stay as you are. You're welcome to stay here. Okay? If you feel that you're ready to come out and come into Shavasana, you can exhale, draw the knees together. Okay? And then maybe just shift your blocks out of the way very slightly. And come rolling over onto your side. Rest your head on your arm. Take a breath here. So we want to be slow with our transitions. No jarring, no jangling of the nervous system. On an exhale, press your palm into the mat. Peel yourself up just enough that you can shift your cushion out of the way. And take your blanket if you want to rest your head on your blanket. And lay back down. And come into Shavasana. So if you're coming into Shavasana, remember you can let your feet fall open at the heels. You can let your feet be mat width. You can take up some space. Have a little shuffle around. Palms turn up. So let your arms move far enough away from your body so that your arms are more than welcome to spill off your mat. Let your arms spill off the mat so you can have the palms turned up comfortably. So joy dwells in the heart center. I'm going to invite you to just silently to yourself on your exhale. As you exhale your breath out, just exhale the thought of the sound Om. On the inhale, just feel the sensation in the body that the thought creates. So the exhale, we're just exhaling the thought of the sound Om, that roar of joy. And inhaling, just feeling the sensations of the stillness behind the thought. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Bring some movement to your fingers and to your toes. Maybe stretch your arms up overhead. So for those of you laying in Shavasana, make circles with your ankles and your wrists. For those of you that are still in Supta Baddha Konasana, on your exhale, draw your knees together. Take a nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, just let your body slide off the props, roll over onto your side, rest your head on your arm.
Those of you in Shavasana, bring your knees up into your chest. If it feels nice to rock from side to side, you can. And as you're ready, you can join by rolling over onto your side. Rest your head on your arm and just take a breath here. So we're going to take our hand. So if you're laying on your left side, you're going to take your right hand and get your blanket or your cushion to rest your head on. And you're going to look at your wrist. So the wrist where your wrinkle bangles are, just below the pinky finger. So just below the pinky finger, right where the wrist bangles are. Very lightly press that spot. So that's H7, that's the heart line, 7th point. When you're feeling disconnected, and there's that sense of anxiety or fear, overwhelm, kind of press this point, and it just helps you slowly connect to yourself, creating just like that little window of calm. And that window of calm, as we tune into really that connection with your inner essence. It's much easier to have a little clarity around choice. To take a moment, maybe think about the intention that you set for the beginning of practice. It's perhaps something you can take with you into the rest of your day, the rest of your week. That shared intention of listening, I invite you to take that with you. Really listen. There's an intimacy to listening. Listen to the whispers of your heart. Get to know you. All right, my lovely, slowly press your palms into the mat. We're going to peel our way up to sitting on an exhale breath. And then we can find a comfy seat, bring the palms together. So we'll end with our chant of Om, that roar of joy, and the space behind the sound. Thinking about something that you are in gratitude for. Deep breath in. Exhale, let the breath go. And let's inhale to close. Thank you for sharing your practice, for sharing your time. Namaste.